Got it.
Perfect. So the session will be recorded, and the recording will be uploaded to the Core Alberta platform and our Healthy Aging Alberta's YouTube channel, so you can watch it there as well. Please make sure that you keep yourself on mute until there's a time for us to speak, and feel free to use the chat. There's a chat function where you can enter words into the chat. And I think that's about it for housekeeping. So I'm just going to say okay, so we can see the top of my screen. So a bit about Core Alberta. Core Alberta, a provincially coordinated learning platform designed to strengthen the sector and increase organizational and sector capacity through information sharing, training, mentoring communities of practice, policy development, resource development, and collaboration. So in a nutshell, Core is that place where we can all meet as a community and collaborate online, where we can find great resources and where we can learn. We have Healthy Aging Alberta, who helps to facilitate the Core Alberta site. And we actually have United Way of Calgary area as our backbone organization. So they kind of help support us. We're housed within United Way. The next slide, talk a little bit more about Healthy Aging Alberta. So Healthy Aging Alberta is a network of community-based seniors serving, or CBSS, organizations across Alberta, united by a shared vision to make Alberta one of the best places in the world to grow older. So basically, we are a group that gets together, that works together, I should say, to help connect the CBSS community and also sector allies. So I play a role on that team as a coordinator. But we also have lots of different components. We have a social prescribing project. We have a community supports project. We have a new transportation project. And then we have the regional community developers who are connected all across the province in different areas to the communities. And we all work together to keep this infrastructure connected. Just a few stats on Core. We have, as of November 7th, 1,950 members and over 4,000 pieces of content on Core. And the number of monthly site visitors in October was 5,000, over 5,000. And we have 18 groups connecting on key issues. And of course, this is one of those groups. So yes, there's so much more to see on Core. And we hope to engage with you more on there. And I'll talk a little bit at the very end about how you can connect to Core.
Okay, thanks, Karen. And Karen, since you're co-host, could I ask you to watch, and while I'm talking, if some participants enter the waiting room, could you let them in?
Absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, so let me introduce our planning team for our community of practice. We have, I hate to put myself first, so it's just me. Okay, and we've got Corey Ladwick. She's a team lead for seniors, adult, and community programs. She works in the County of Grand Prairie. And Jane Atkins joined our team back in the fall. She's co-chair of Sundre Senior Spruce Society in Sundre, which is just north of Calgary. And then brand new to our team, and we're very excited to introduce Anita Newling. She's the program manager, Capital Region Mental Health and Addictions in Fredericton. And so she's jumping on board as we go national. So that's really exciting. And then Stephanie Bansky, who AKA Karen King today, digital engagement coordinator with Healthy Aging Alberta. So that's our support from Healthy Aging. So I am really excited that you are all here because you're in for a treat. And you already know we're going to be talking about Global IG Week, which is the last week of April. We're going to talk about National IG Day in Canada, which is June 1st. And we're going to talk about Seniors Week, which is first week of June. And so so we've got guests today, Kitty Yin and Sheetal Chitu, global nurse consultant for Kitty, and Sheetal is a project specialist. They work for Future of Aging in St. Elizabeth Health. They're out of Toronto, but they are the contacts, the Canadian contacts for Global Intergenerational Week. So they're going to talk to us about what's going to be happening that week and how we can get involved. Then after that, we're really pleased. Sharon, I should have remembered to ask Sharon a long time ago, but I didn't. And so when I did reach out, she was busy, but she rearranged her schedule so she could be here today. So she is actually the founder and executive director of I2I Intergenerational Society. And she is the one that started National IG Day, and she's going to tell you all about that. So Karen, if you can stop sharing the screen, and then we're going to ask Kitty and Sheetal. So this is what's going to happen. Kitty and Sheetal are going to talk to us about Global IG Week first, and then we will have a Q&A time if you have any questions. After that, Sharon's going to speak, and then we'll have time to ask her questions, and then we'll give Jane time for the Seniors Week. And if we have any time after that, we can all talk, okay? So we're just kind of go with the flow. So Kitty and Sheetal, take it away.
Thank you so much, Betty. It's our pleasure to be joining you today and share a little bit about Global IG Week, Global Intergenerational Week coming up. So Sheetal and I from St. Elizabeth Healthcare, we're currently based in Toronto right now, but SE Health is a national home and community care organization. So as you may know, Betty and Linkages last year were the Canada country lead for Global IG Week last year. But just as also a quick recap, Global Intergenerational Week in 2024 is happening end of April. So last week of April, April the 24th to May 1st. And same as last year, there's going to be a different theme for each of the 7 days. So I'll share a little bit about SE Health's plan for this week. So first and foremost, we will be hosting a virtual national event focused on intergenerational spaces and community. And we will be having special speakers and breakout rooms as well. And Sheetal will be sharing some more information on that in the chat. And what we would love from you is to please reach out if you would want to be involved with the national event as potentially a breakout room facilitator, as a speaker, or to share a little bit about what you're working on. So certainly do get in touch and we can figure out a way for you to be involved. And also opportunity for you to spread the word about the national event happening both within your circles and also on social media too. Secondly, same as last year, you are invited to sign up as a supporter for Intergenerational Week on the Generations Working Together website, and also on our SE Health website. We will also have a specific web page dedicated to IG Week with some resources on there too. Two more announcements. So if you're planning on hosting any kind of mix and mingle or socials that are intergenerational in nature, do check out Generation Working Together's activity guide and register your event on their website to gain a greater reach and promotion for your event, and also to highlight that and amplify it through the IG Week in general. Lastly, Generations Working Together is running a photo diary activity again this year. So we'll be sharing the link to that, and please do consider participating. And so they have a specific link and resources in which you can participate in. So, and then you would share your photo diary entries and your description with the email that is shared in the link. So that will then be stored in the GWT repository and perhaps shared within their network too. Yeah, so we would love to answer any questions, or if you have any questions later on, feel free to reach out to Sheetal or myself.
Kitty, I have a
Thank you. I'll
question.
pass it back to Betty.
Do you have any suggestions or just to kind of start our brains thinking about this? What is something that's easy that people can do in their own community to kind of spread the word?
Yeah, certainly on the easiest, most straightforward way would be on social media. So we'll be engaging folks on LinkedIn and Facebook, and perhaps Instagram as well. So definitely the virtual national event, amplifying that on social media. So sharing it, inviting those within your circles to participate. Also, we'll be putting out different social media posts throughout the IG week. So resharing, reposting, sharing it with your own thoughts. That'll all help propel the hashtag for Intergenerational Week, and also just to get the message out further. And again, taking photos and hosting any kind of intergenerational events within your communities would be another great way to take part in this week.
Another thing I want to add is I know that within our group here, we've got tons of intergenerational programming that's already happening. So even within that week, by no means do we want you to completely, go off base and create an entirely new event. But if there are ways that we can align with Intergenerational Week, Global Intergenerational Week, and some of your programming, that'd be a great strategy as well.
So Sheetal and Kitty, can you send me some links, and then tomorrow when I send the follow-up email, I'll include those in there in case some of them didn't get them in the chat box.
Absolutely.
Also, I remember last year there was an Instagram page for Global IG Week. There probably will be again, right? So if you do anything in your community, take pictures or videos and post them on there. Okay, any other questions or ideas?
Yeah, Tracy, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I'm one of the things I think is really great in terms of promoting the initiatives through social media and those kind of things. I still find that with even doing that, though, we might be missing there are pockets of people may be missed. And again, that would bring it to the local areas to try and reach out. Did you guys have any strategies for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, Tracy, I see what you mean. We've certainly considered that. So within our own networks, within the Future Aging team, we have been reaching out within our community in Ontario, but we certainly encourage those of you in Alberta and in other provinces too to just reach out through your own community circles. In terms of specific strategies, we don't have anything at this point, but I think what has worked for your communities locally may be the best strategy there.
Another thing I would recommend is generations working together. So the organization kind of leading Global Intergenerational Week has quite a bit of resources on creating an activity guide and really planning that activity. So that could give some information as to how to get some of that recruitment as well.
And I'll send out that link. A couple of years ago, Linkages did a photo contest. that was due during that week. And then it had to be 2 generations, of course. And then we chose a winner and they posted them on Instagram, and that was kind of fun. And I remember too, a couple of years ago, a coworker and we got this bright idea that we went to a few Safeways during that week, set up our whole display, had the postcards ready to tell them about the photo contest. And we would not do that again. Because they thought we were selling something, you know, when you stand there with a display or you're collecting money, and we just didn't get the results that we were hoping. So if you're thinking of doing that, think of something else. But, you know, I'm sure you've already got things going. In our IG clubs, I always had an activity for the clubs to do during that week. Okay, anybody else? If not, Sharon, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can talk to us about National IG Day.
Okay, thanks very much. And you know, good for all of you people that are involved in this endeavor. I've been at this for almost 3 decades, and it's great to see building momentum. So thank you, all those that I see on my screen and all those who I see down here are participants today. And keep doing what you're doing. And if you're not doing it, get doing it. It's really great. It's so rewarding. June 1st is Intergenerational Day Canada. It's been proclaimed in 4 provinces, Alberta, Ontario, Manitoba, and New Brunswick, in perpetuity, and all other provinces and territories, except for one, have signed on in proclamation. A lot of provinces do not issue in perpetuity, so it's been an annual endeavor since 2010 to approach provincial and territorial governments to recognize this day. And we've had good luck. A lot of the governments have actually announced it in the legislature. So that's, you know, one way of getting the word out. We've had a bit of problems with the government actually putting it out through, so, you know, seniors associations and through their connections that they have towards older people and young people. And so that's one thing that we're, you know, still working on. June 1st is meant to be a day that we focus on intergenerational relationships and that we step out and do one small thing to make a connection. So if you have a young neighbor, speak to them, take some time. If you have an older friend or a relative you haven't seen for a while, give them a call. So it's really meant to initiate some kind of movement. What I've found over the years is that there's times when young people and older people are in the same room, and that's not really intergenerational. We've had situations where there's been daycare with youth or children in a senior care facility under the same roof and absolutely no interaction. So one of the things that we're really focusing on here is trying to get that interaction happening so that people recognize the power of coming together when it's purposeful and when it's intentional. That's really, really important to us. So we suggest that, and we've got over 100 cities across Canada that have been involved. People like the Canadian Medical Association have been involved. It's amazing how just by word of mouth and social media, which I'm not good at, but you know, it spreads things. It's amazing. So our encouragement is to choose some kind of an activity. We say it should be safe and simple, and that it should be fun but respectful, and that it should be collaborative. And when I say an activity, that can be as simple as having, if you have children in your home, having them make a card and take it over to a care center and just ask if they could put it in the mailbox. Seniors love to get mail and they hardly ever do. So the simple things like that. It could be more grandiose things. If you have choirs, you know, to have a senior choir and a youth choir learn the same song and come together and sing it. And it doesn't have to be on June 1st, but let's celebrate that on June 1st. I want to just give you a little bit of background because it sounds a little high and mighty to say that I started it, that I initiated it. It really was very organic, and it's quite timely right now because Elizabeth Podniks, who was the founder of and was really the key person 50, 60 years ago who started this whole looking at senior and elder mistreatment and how the rest of us, other generations, could work on that to try and bring it to some end that was much better than what we're seeing now. And she unfortunately passed away just a week and a half ago, but she is the founder of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And that has actually gone to the UN. That is an international day and has been recognized as such for several years. She came to me in 2008 and asked me if I would work with the International Federation on Aging and Public Health Agency Canada, creating a resource that could go out to teenagers that was sort of a companion resource to an adult version of World Elder Abuse Day and World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and what you could do to try and prevent those kinds of misfortunate things that were happening to seniors. So I said that I'd do the resource for her, but it was really hard because I was working with schools right across from Newfoundland right to Vancouver Island, and school kids, teenagers especially, 15th of June, which is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, or WEAD as we call it, they're not thinking about seniors. I mean, they're thinking about jobs, summer jobs, grad, finishing their exams. And I said, Elizabeth, this is not going to work. Like, I can write all the activities you want, but who's going to do that in the schools at that time? And I said, I've got an idea. Let's make June 1st Intergenerational Day at Canada as a prevention piece. And on that day, we can have youth and young people pointing a finger to the 15th to say, hey, wake up, Canada. You know, we've got some issues here and we can fix them. And I said, we always had a running joke that I was hoping my day and her day, that my day would wipe hers out. I said, that's a dream that I have, that we could prevent all of this stuff and we wouldn't even have to worry about June 15th. So I happened to be working in Newfoundland at the time in St. John's with the collegiate. And I said to the kids, what do you think about having June 1st as Intergenerational Day Canada? And we can actually go out there and do some really cool things and bring some media attention to this whole issue and put a focus on June 15th coming up in 2 weeks. And they said that they thought that'd be really great. So our very first day that we launched it in 2010 was right across Canada, because I was working across Canada with school groups and communities. And what they did was, within their school, they had the senior kids go down to the younger kids and do a little play. And their play was about just how simple and unintentional, really, elder abuse can be. And what's really shocking is when you're tuned into it, you realize how much of our society is, you know, making fun of seniors, putting them last or whatever. But then I worked with kids for my whole life, so I had seen that same thing happening to kids. So for me, this Intergenerational Day was really, it had a real focus. So they did that. And then the senior kids had some very talented young people. They went down to a cafe and they presented an evening of entertainment and took a silver collection. And with that silver collection, they put an advertisement in the paper about June 1st. And they did all of this or about June 15th, sorry. And they did all of this on June 1st. So it was kind of pre the big rush in the high schools. And it was so successful across Canada in the centers that we were working with that then we started to actually send information out to cities and to provinces and asking them to join in. So it has really quite a following. I'm always amazed when I kind of a couple of weeks after the day and I go in and just Google June 1st Intergenerational Day Canada. It's amazing. Like, farm groups in Saskatchewan are, you know, especially if it happens on a weekend, they're having the seniors bring in old implements and having them talk to the kids about what they were used for. Like, it was just absolutely amazing, you know, where it's actually gone. So I would encourage you to go to our website, intergenerational.ca. Kelsey Russ from New Brunswick works with the website, has done a wonderful job of sharing, you know, all sorts of events that are across Canada. The list is amazing. Out of New Brunswick alone, I've been working for 3 years on a project there, and unbelievable how the communities have connected. Anita and all of the people that are there in the intergenerational network, the kinds of things that they've done. So provincially and territorially, we can really work up. I mean, it's that whole idea of starting grassroots, starting small and building out. And trust me, after all I was 75 yesterday, so everybody's saying, oh my God, 3/4 of a century. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how long does it take to swim upstream to get this going? But you're proof that it is going someplace. So that's really great. And as anybody who has had any involvement with seniors and kids together in safe and simple and fun but purposeful activities, you will know that it's just one of the most heartwarming things that can happen. So yeah, so thank you for letting me have a few minutes to tell you about it.
Well, happy birthday. That is a milestone.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I love what you said, like not just safe and simple, but fun and purposeful.
Yeah, really important. And I think, I mean, when I talk to governments and talk to groups that have government representation, I try to say that my feeling is that Canada is really becoming very fractured. I mean, we've got so many interest groups and they're all really important and they all want their time. But the one thing that's absolutely key about intergenerational work is that everybody ages. It doesn't matter where you're from, anything about what you do or what you believe in, but you're all aging. So what a wonderful place to make the platform for us to join together. So again, I've had people talk about intergenerational things between 50-year-olds and 80-year-olds. That's not an area of focus for me. I tend to focus on the young people and the older people, just because I think by working with young people, it's a real investment in our future. And it really brings, an awareness of helping jobs that young people would consider working in the healthcare industry and working with elders. It also helps them accept their own aging and that of their parents. So I've done that, but I mean, intergenerational is right across the board and really key. Yeah. And that we recognize it for the power that it has, which I'm hammering on Ottawa's door saying, recognize this. This is really something. It can change the whole health scene in Canada significantly, I think.
Yeah. And I'll send you the link for that site so that you can get lots of ideas. Okay, questions or comments for Sharon?
I would just like to say that one of the things that I've noticed being a grandparent who actually did this is that a number of grandparents are helping to raise their grandchildren. And although that's, obviously a familial intergenerational piece, I found it very difficult to find programs or events or even spaces where that could happen beyond the library, which was always wonderful, and one of the rec centers. And so I think on these days, it would be really interesting to focus on that group as well, if you know that that's happening in your community, especially culturally. It's very common, and I think it's becoming more common as young people can't afford their life in cities or rural communities even. And I just wondered about that area in terms of things that that are going on, or including that in the days that you're speaking of, and how those programs might develop.
Now, are you speaking specifically about grandparents looking after kids, that particular group of kids or people? Yeah, no, and that's an interesting one because ironically, when we look at elder abuse, that is one area that pops up quite often, is that grandparents are just seen as the dropping ground for kids. And quite often they give up much of their own life and sometimes their own well-being, like fitness and socialization, because they're involved. So it is a group that's very key. I know there's a lot of grandparent groups across Canada, one out of Vancouver actually, and I think that they probably would focus more specifically on something like that. In terms of a space to do these things, it's remarkable. I mean, a park, quite often you just have to invite people and they come. So we've had in art galleries, we've had wonderful things where children have created art with an older person, and quite often it has been a grandparent, and then they put the art up, but then they each write their point of view, what happened during the event, building the art. It's quite interesting. Yeah, she got so mad at me for not cleaning the brushes, and so you kind of get that really nice thing happening there. Music is another area. Because of June, and especially with the Intergenerational Day. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Along with that, what's really interesting is it's spring in most of Canada, surprise, surprise. And so, planting opportunities and that sort of thing, and getting outside to go for walks and so on. So I don't know of anything specific, but if I do know, I will certainly let you go, or find out about something specific to that group. I will let you know. Good point.
Thanks for bringing that up, Lynn. That's really important. I was out for lunch with a group of women yesterday, and they were talking about raising their grandkids. And yeah. Okay, other questions or comments? Our speakers are very thorough. Okay, now Jane. Jane is on our planning team, community practice planning team. She just joined and in the fall. And she is a volunteer with Seniors in Sundre. So she's going to talk to us about things happening there or other ideas that she has for IG Week. I mean, Seniors Week, sorry. Oh, you're muted, Jane.
There. Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
June 3rd to 9th, coming up quickly, Seniors Week. It was recognized first in 1986 to celebrate and recognize the contributions that seniors had made to enhance the quality of life in Alberta. So it was inspired by a vision of the late Alice Modan, and she did a campaign to start a Seniors Day in Strathcona County that paved the way for this event. So one of the things that we've done before is got our town council to do a declaration saying that these are important weeks. I'm going to put some links in the chat box afterwards, but it would go in something like this: in honor of the past, present, and future contributions of the seniors of this community and throughout Alberta, I hereby declare that June 3rd to 9th, 2024 will be Seniors Week in Sundre. So that was an important thing, and we can actually file those on the Alberta site and also put down what activities we're going to be doing. So the links will be there for that. One of the other things that I came across when I was kind of looking up this information was that there is a grant out there for a co-host for an opening event for Seniors Week this year. And if you're interested, I think it was Okotoks that did it last year. It gets everybody out there. Is usually about 500 people that attend it. So it'll be a big promotion of our seniors in Alberta. So I'll put the link for that as well. Now I'll get on to what we've done in Sundre here. So in the past, it's all volunteer. We do have a great organization called Greenwood Neighborhood Place. They do a lot of organizing for seniors. They do a lot of support for our seniors. So we kind of work together on a lot of the activities. So one of the things I bring in every year is fun entertainment. So the seniors kind of get a choice of some of the things that could come in, and they showcase them. And during the showcase, like, they transport all the people, seniors from the area, using our community van or their own transportation to a central location for the entertainment. And up there, they've already canvassed the community for free stuff and discounts for the community. And so everybody gets goodie bags. And some of those in those goodie bags are van passes so that they can use that community van at other times, because it costs them $5 to use the community van for some of the events. So and we're trying to, increase that activity, but also increase the activity where they can use that community van pass for taking their grandchild downtown or things like that. So it's not just going to be seniors sitting on that community van. We're also going to see some other aspect of things there as well. We did info sessions on health, wellness. We did some learning ones. We did some fun activities with fitness where families could join in on it. Talked about finances, scams, those types of things. Our local museum had a tea before one of the entertainment sessions. So they went and had tea in the museum main building, and the entertainment was down in our village. So it was kind of and they were allowed to bring other generations if they chose, but it was mainly seniors because it was during that time of day. Art, painting, multimedia type of activities planned throughout the community. But I think the biggest one for me, it hasn't totally happened yet. We had over 100 people coming to our art center here in town at the beginning of COVID. so it got shut down. We had over 60 performers, and it was the senior showcase. So in that set of performers, we had intergenerational. So I wrote a poem about the correlation between the young kids and the old, the seniors. And then I had my nephew was going to be the young child as he grew up and his correlations. And then I was the senior responding to him about things for me. So that was one of the intergenerational. We had a string quartet trio where there was a 20-year-old, 40-year-old, and a 65-year-old, and mother, daughter, granddaughter kind of thing that we're going to be playing. We had a grandfather. He was going to teach his grandson to play a tune on the guitar. So we shared these, and it was going to be a huge thing. It was 2 hours long, but everybody wanted to do it. Like it was, let's get out, let's do it and have fun. So I think that's one thing that we could do in our community is showcase what our seniors have to offer in correlation, what we can do as an intergenerational project at the same time. So I hope those are kind of spark some ideas that you have, and I'll drop the other things in the chat box as soon as I'm finished speaking.
Jane, thank you. And with IG Day being on June 1st, and then it's followed by Seniors Week, I love the ideas that you have of bringing, incorporating the youth in for Seniors Week. Why not? That's awesome. Okay, questions for Jane or comments?
Well, I love the idea that you could have the music and the art so that they're presenting, or, that it was in some form that other people could see. And because I think that's what happens is I feel like the word intergenerational in BC, and we have a big project on the North Shore in North and West Vancouver. It's just that people aren't using the word. And they're doing things together, but they're not thinking about that particularly. So it's bringing it to light when you've got those generations together playing music or performing or doing the displays that you spoke of. I think that's just wonderful. It must be lovely to be in your community on those days.
One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm working with a young lady. She's 5 years old. And her grandma lives in Ontario, but her grandma is bilingual and French is the first language. And so she's here in Alberta where they don't get any of the French unless they go into French immersion. And so she comes to my house once a week and we play with the French language. And so I'm teaching her some of the little songs. So I'm hoping this intergenerational, like the showcase comes up, and then we'll do some of the songs, action songs and that for the people.
Wow, Jane, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Do you sometimes take a video of what she does and send it to her grandma?
Well, not at this time, but that's coming up. They will actually want to do a FaceTime when she's here.
Oh, that's great. Oh my goodness. Okay, other ideas. What have you done in the past, or what's brewing in your brain? Or do you have any plans for this year? Let's share them.
I'm happy to share a little bit of what we're going to do June 1st in Ottawa. We're trying to bring light to the importance of intergenerational relationships using libraries. So we have an event set up at one of our main branches, not the main branch, but quite a large, it's a beautiful, bright setting. So and it's on a Saturday. And they tell us they get usually 600 to 700 people coming into the library on Saturdays anyways. So we're going to have youth welcome them in with music, and then we're going to have different activities. set up. And some of the stations are actually going to be hosted or animated by other intergenerational groups or people that work in the intergenerational space, so that they can talk about what they do on the ground, whether it's in a retirement residence or school setting, or one of them is pairing older adults with university kids so that they can cohabitate. And so we're hoping to have a few of those stations set up, and then some reading and some puppetry and a little film, and then cake and lemonade at the end, kind of thing. But invite the mayor. Ottawa is declared Intergenerational Day every June 1st. And so we're hoping the mayor and the city councillors will come out, and we can draw some media attention to that. And if it's happening in one or two of the branches, then we hope next year we can grow to more branches, and then into our main branch, which is going to be in a brand new library in Ottawa in 2026. So we just thought we'd try the library system as a new platform to bring light to intergenerational connections.
That's awesome. Every time you talk about library, I write it down because I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet. Like go and talk to the librarians here. So are you and Claudia organizing that? Sorry.
Yes. So Claudia, who is on this call as well, if you wave your hand, Claudia, we're co-founders.
I'm here. Yeah. We're doing it together.
We're co-founders of Generactions. So it's a little social enterprise that we have started together, and it is quite grassroots, but has a good membership in a network here in Ottawa and on the Gatineau side as well. So we're trying to bridge Ottawa-Gatineau and heighten intergenerational connections as much as possible. But the promotion of it is where our interests are. But we will be focused on this particular pilot event on June 1st.
Well, you'll have to let us know how it goes. Okay, we don't have, oh, Tracy.
Yeah, no, just quickly, although Quebec, their Intergenerational Day is June 25th, and different organizations within our network are doing many different things. Sorry, and but I wanted to say one of the groups that we're working with in the country, you may have heard of Grand Pals. They're doing, although it was, bringing older adults into the classroom, like you are talking about, Deanne and Claudia about the library systems, is they're actually developing a section for libraries as well, because there's libraries that are introducing this program as well. And they're great spaces, right, for community building.
Totally.
Anyway, well done.
Adam.
I see that Sharon put something in the chat and I didn't understand it, so I welcome anyone to explain it to me. Only 7 to 11% of seniors reign use across.
Sharon,
That's
Sharon,
me.
can you
Sorry.
explain that?
I'm not very good at this. I'm a much better in-person person. Yeah, I just wanted to say that all these community groups that you're talking about are really important, because in fact, there are only 7 to 11% of seniors in Canada who are in care. And although we have a captive audience when we talk to those seniors or, excuse me, try to organize something with them, we have to remember that in homes and apartments and all sorts of places, the majority of our senior population in Canada does reside. Sorry about that.
Sharon, so you were saying that, let's say 10% are in care homes and the rest are in the community?
Yeah, and it's really, here, sorry. I was trying to hide behind my black screen here and do this properly. Yeah, and I think we tend to think, and especially when you hear information on the radio and so forth, it sounds like they glom a lot of senior people who I don't even know what is a senior person, 65 plus. We at the Public Health Agency Canada asked me to call them older persons and not give them the designation of elders or seniors at all. But we tend to think there's a lot of them in care, like that must be at least half, but it's not. It's actually surprisingly small number.
Okay, and yeah, sorry, go ahead, whoever was going to talk.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I just to finish that thought or extrapolate, I guess that these folks would also basically, this 90% of seniors is aging in place and actually dying at home, basically, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose aging in place, I think, is a better term than dying. Hopefully there's opportunities for them to be with people in the latter stages of their life. But yeah, generally speaking, and that part of that's really great because it means they're out and active. But as we found in rural communities in British Columbia and also in New Brunswick, is a lot of them are just because of our weather and they're isolated. They happen to be living in a place when they were 50 that's 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers out of town, which was not bad when they had their driver's license. Suddenly they can't drive, or suddenly there's some issue that they're not able to get into town. So what socialization comes to them, So I think it's really important, especially in a country like Canada where there are so many rural areas with seniors living there, that we really consider them. So hats off to all the people who have been talking about community groups and grandparents that are looking after kids. Those are all really important groups. Sometimes hard to access because you don't have a class list, or you don't have a residence list, which makes it kind of easy.
That's a great point. And sorry, if we do breakouts, I'll set up my camera again. But yeah, so that's a great point, Sharon. It's valuable. I'm new to this world, and so to me, your point is like, if we have amazing things happening at care homes and senior retirement centers and whatever, and then we might be patting ourselves on the back for doing a great job, but we're actually missing 90% of the people that need it.
Yeah, shocking, isn't it? Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I mean, the one thing about COVID is because we did have seniors in care, it brought a magnifying glass to those groups of people that were having issues. But having worked with seniors in care homes and through this program and so forth, or not program, but through this initiative for so many years, all of that stuff was existing long before COVID. COVID just really put a magnifying glass on it, because I had seniors in senior care homes that I was working with, who children from my school class, their grandparents were there and they never saw them. And I lived in a really small town, about 40,000 people. And so they didn't see them. You say, well, why is that? Well, families had split up. The children were with the mother. She didn't like the in-laws. So the children never got to see their grandparents. So, sometimes the care homes really do reflect the larger proportion of people that are socially isolated. And you think, well, they're in a care home. Oh my gosh, they're having activities. They should be really with it. But it's really amazing. A lot of them are underfunded when it comes to activities. A lot of the seniors have, they're just shy, or they've had trauma or issues in their life where they're getting together with other people. It's really hard for them. So they stay in their rooms. And, so that definitely is an area that we need to focus on. But as you said, 90% of seniors in Canada are out in the community. Where are they? What are they doing? Are we connected to them?
And aging in place sounds wonderful. But then the tendency is for the shyer ones is to remain isolated. And then they don't have that socialization, like you said, Sharon, and they don't have community. And that's so detrimental. That's why we need intergenerational work. I was going to say programs, but then we just need to do better, right? Get our generations together and solve all these problems. Okay, I'm just going to, I was looking in chat, Deanne suggested, could you please type in where you're from? And she suggested ask someone else to our next cafe. Okay, so open up your chat. So Sharon says, remember, when it comes to events or activities, don't do something different. Just do something you already do differently. So if you're with your grandchild, ask a very purposeful question to get a good conversation going if you aren't used to doing that. Something like that. Do something different. I mean, don't do something different. Do something differently. Okay. Our time, we have 5 minutes left. So I want to tell you about our next event, which is really, really special. But before you do that, Karen's going to put a link in the chat, and it's for feedback. We find if we send the link the next day, only maybe 10% fill out the feedback form. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. If you click on that link, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Getting feedback from you is really, really important. And I'm singing to the choir, so you already know why it's important. So if you want to just click on that link, everybody is going to be quiet for 3 minutes while you fill out that. And then I'm going to tell you about our next event. Go. Karen, can you please share your PowerPoint now? Okay, thanks so much for filling out that survey. And I was reading in the chat box, we have Angie from Fort McMurray. That's amazing. Thank you, Angie, for coming. Okay, our next event, very exciting. Have you heard of Generations Over Dinner? It's a whole movement. and started in the States, of course. Anyway, so on Tuesday, March 19th from 10:30 to 12, we have a speaker. Well, yeah, I guess she's a speaker. She's going to bring her mom. She just retired, but she has regular dinners on Sunday with a few generations. And when I heard this, I said, do you want to just talk to us about what that's like? And then there's a few articles that I've read, and there's, you know, a whole movement down in the States. And I thought, this is a really interesting topic, something that actually at Linkages, we even had a date to do this in the fall before they decided that it was time to close our doors. But we were going to do a whole lunch with generations over dinner. So you don't want to miss that. That's really exciting. It's just another way to bring generations together and have meaningful intergenerational relationships. Okay, next slide is just, if you are not a member, I don't think you have to be in Alberta to join, but I would encourage you to just join our intergenerational community, join our group. You have to become a member of CORE first, and just type in corealberta.ca, become a member, and then go to the Intergenerational Linkages Community of Practice and join our group. And so they get the regular mail-outs for these things, but also I email anybody who's been in an event or a cafe before the event so that you always know what's coming up. But it would be great for you to join our group and we could get more active on there. Okay, and next slide is, thank you. Okay, you can pull the slides down. Thank you, Karen. And any last minute comments? Okay.
My noisy people outside just left. They were sawing a tree most of the meeting.
Oh.
So I could hear you, but I don't think you could have heard me.
No, we didn't. So thank you for muting the trees.
So I'm looking forward to getting together with the seniors and the high school students on Friday. And one of the student leaders told me we were going to be talking about picking a name for the group because we're no longer working under Linkages, and some ideas for what we can do in the future. I have my ideas and they have their ideas, but they were just recovering from exams the last time we got together nearly 2 weeks ago. So
maybe
anyway.
this Friday, maybe you can talk to Lubna about your ideas. Okay, thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I might even come out to the club on Friday and see how you guys are doing. So we've kind of gone over time. I want to thank you very, very much. You'll get an email from me tomorrow with a link to the recording and also with all the links that have been shared. I'll put them in the email. Okay, and if you have any thoughts or feedback, just send me an email. Thank you. Enjoy your afternoon or evening or whatever it is, whatever time it is where you are. Oh, could the planning team just stay on for a bit, please?